Hello. This is a video response to Ballerinaboy1 video about keeping the craft secret. And I thought this was a very interesting topic that, topic that he discussed and, had questions about. Personally, it's not so much that I think the craft needs to be kept secret or certain things just does not need to be talked about with non-pagans or what have you. If one has questions for me who is non-pagan, I'll answer it no matter what the question is. What I will do is I will gauge a person on an individual basis, and that will determine how much I divulge to them. It's also whether or not I will openly say to someone that I am Wiccan. There are some who I know can't handle that, but they can handle pagan aspects. So there might be some people that I might not say Wiccan to, I might just say pagan to. And it has nothing to do with me not being proud of who I am. I am. But, especially right now, before I moved out here, I would say Wiccan. If one asked, or when I came out to my friends, I said Wiccan. I explained what it was. My friends are fairly open-minded for the most part. I think I might have one or two that's like not so much, but I still even told them about it. There might be certain things I wouldn't go into with them because I think those are things that they can't handle or process. I might test the waters. I might throw out a little thing here or there, might say something and see how they might digest that, and then that will let me know to how much more to divulge to them. Anything that has to do with what Wicca is, or even witchcraft, what it is, what it's comprised of, even like if you're calling the quarters or whatever, if that's something that they want to hear about, I will say, discuss that with them. If I get a vibe that they've heard enough, I'll stop it or whatever. Do I think we have to keep things secret? No. I think secrecy is what hurts a lot of people. And I don't just mean within the craft. I mean in general. Because of the fact that people fear what they don't know and what they don't understand. Now, if something is kept secret, how could they possibly understand it or be made to understand it? Sometimes you need a deeper explanation of things. A person needs a deeper explanation of things so that they can understand it better. The surface of it just sometimes is not enough, to get a person to understand what it is, the core of what you believe. Sometimes they need other things like broader examples, more examples, or even more in-depth things to understand your core beliefs. I do sometimes also equate things to their own religion. So, like, let's say if I'm explaining a ritual or something like that, I will equate that to Christianity, or mainly Catholicism, since I was Catholic pretty much most of my life. And I'll say, it's not much different than a Catholic ceremony. A Catholic ceremony is an elaborate ritual. It is the same. You call upon God in your Catholic ceremony. You begin by blessing the area with incense. The priest and the altar boys, the whole procession comes down the aisle, and they waft incense all over the church. You're blessing and consecrating that ritual space. um, they use bells to at certain points of the mass to let you know that one point has ended and another point has begun, or whatever. You use a bell in your ritual. I don't have a bell. I actually intend to get one at some point, mainly because what I really want is a Tibetan bell, and I don't have money for the Tibetan bell just yet, but hopefully by the end of the month or next month I'll have that. So yeah, anyways, I digress. There's certain elements of the ritual that it is very much like a mass. That's all ritual. It's just a different name. So sometimes too, when you explain it to them like that, they can either like, oh yeah, I really get what you're saying, or I see what you mean, or they'll take offense and be like, well, that's nothing like it. Those are usually those who are just so closed-minded they can't possibly accept anything outside of themselves, outside of what they were taught. So, I think back in ancient times, it was very important for this to be kept secret because it was a matter of life and death for those people. You could literally just be killed at your doorstep or dragged out in the square, whatever. And it was very important to be kept secret. And that I don't think should be done today. Because like I said, lack of knowledge is very dangerous. It's why even in parts of Africa today, you'll have people who are burned for being a witch. And I saw one months ago, sometime last year I think it was, where they burned this woman for being a witch. I mean, they literally... Was it a woman or a man? He used to be a preacher. I don't know. No, her husband used to be a preacher, I think. They thought she was a witch. I think he had died. They thought she killed him or something. They dragged her out and they beat her and then they set her on fire. And then while she was on fire, they continued to beat her. This is nothing that was years ago or anything like that. This is present day. This was like last year or the year before last. This was in a part of Africa. And that's not the only place in the world that something like that happens. So, yes, in certain places, I definitely think, even today, you would have to keep it secret. But again, that's a matter of survival. But in our society, I don't think it's necessary. I think you have to gauge who you would open up certain things to, who you would divulge certain information to, mainly because of their mindset. And even then, I would say, if you want to educate them on what it is that you believe, and that it is in fact not evil or anything like that, I would say you still want to give them information, but you might want to try it in a certain way, in a way that you think they would be able to better understand the point you're trying to get across. Because not everyone I would make the distinction to them that they share elements with Catholicism or whatever. See how my religion is not that different than what you believe in certain respects, So that's those who really have a difficult time processing what Wicca is or what witchcraft is. I would make those connections to them. I didn't have to with all of my friends. Some of them I just simply had to say, and they were just fine with it. So out here where I live now, I am more secretive because I have to consider my family. And when I say that, I have to consider my boyfriend and his son, and the fact that this is a Bible Belt area too. This is part of the Bible Belt. This is Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I have never seen so many churches in all my life. And I live in New York, which is a very big or very heavily populated area. And we don't have these many churches. There's certain points out here where you go a few blocks is a church, and then across the street is a church, and then across the street from there is a church. It's crazy, So out here I do have to be very careful because of his son, and he has custody of his son, and his mom could try to use that against him. And like I said, because even though religion is your right, you have a freedom to practice whatever you want. One out here, their system of justice is not that fair. I'm not saying it's great and swell in New York, but there is no way in New York, I don't think, that two people can come to court seeking custody for their child, and the court side with the mom, even though she's doing drugs in the house with the child, you know, in her care. My boyfriend had a friend who, his ex-wife did drugs, and she did it in the basement in the house. And the judge said, well, that's fine. As long as she's doing it in the basement in the house and not in front of the child, that's okay. What? What about her judgment that's now impaired because she's doing these drugs? You know, and she did them regularly. In fact, so much so that she did ultimately die from the drug use. So, they're not very good at siding with the fathers here. And I don't want to do anything that would jeopardize his custody of his son. So, I am only open with those who I think can handle it. Like, I have a couple of co-workers who know I'm Wiccan, you know, who I knew were open-minded enough to understand. And, you know, I have some of my friends out here, they know, you know, I'm Wiccan. But other than that, I do wear my symbols. I do take pains where if I'm in certain areas, I will conceal them. Because like I said, I don't want to cause trouble for them, as well as I have to think of my daughter. And I don't want to cause trouble for her either. So, which is also a big thing for me, so I'm trying to decide when to introduce her to the craft, or how. So I think I'm going to introduce her as far as, you know, through stories. But basically, I think it's a danger to keep things secret. I do think, yes, you do have to gauge what you divulge to certain people, or how you divulge it to them. I think is more essential than anything else. So if they have questions, definitely answer them. If you get on a roll, sometimes I know I can understand, like, you probably got really spirited, Ballerinaboy, very enthusiastic about it when you were talking to it with that person you were discussing, and I get like that too. It's like, oh my gosh, I can talk about this till your eyes glaze over, kind of thing. So but you still want to try to come back and gauge that person you're talking to and see how they're digesting what you're saying to them. But I don't think the craft should be kept secret. I really don't. And I think the more people that know about it and understand it, the more accepted it will be. And I think that about everything, really. Not just the craft. But that's all I had to say. So thank you, and bless thee.